How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We've got the S14 on the stands rolled out, and you know what that means. That means we need to vapor hone stuff. So today's video, we're gonna jump right into it because we got to get this stuff done for a customer slash friend of mine. These are all Mustang parts. I'm not familiar with Mustang, so I know nothing about them, but I know they are for his drift car, which is a Mark III Supra that has a Mustang engine in it, which I think is pretty cool. So today's video, we're going to clean all this stuff up and see what kind of transformation we can get. So basically, I'm just going to break down some of the stuff that we have. We've got alternator casing. I believe this is some sort of water neck. I'm not sure what this is. Maybe someone can comment in the comments what this is. We've got a throttle body, as well as a throttle body spacer maybe, and then also the distributor and the intake manifold. So basically this video, I am going to try to show you guys the process of what I do to get things ready to vapor hone and the results, I guess. So obviously all this stuff has been disassembled. The only thing that wasn't taken out was the shaft in the throttle body, as well as the shaft for the distributor. So I'm going to press those out because I have a press, and we do have to clean up all the gasket material before blasting. And I'll show you guys how I do that with one of these. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. Alright, so like I previously mentioned, I'm going to start getting this stuff ready to go in the vapor honing cabinet. Items like this alternator casing, these are pretty much ready to go since he took them apart, and they're not greasy or anything like that. If they were greasy, I would say we'd have to degrease them because that can contaminate the water in the cabinet, which isn't a huge deal. You just flush it out again, but the longer you can keep the water clean, the longer you can vapor hone for without having to stop and drain the water out and put in new water. Another thing like this, so this water outlet or whatever this is, I am going to clean up the gasket that's on here, and then once that is off, it'll be ready to blast as well. This piece, just a little bit of silicone or gasket maker that you have here, which comes off with my fingernail, just scraping it. So things like that are kind of ready to go. Same thing here. Again, more gasket maker that's on here. We just try to take it off. So pretty much the same thing with the intake manifold. Whatever gasket material we can get off of it, we'll take off. And then the main two things that require a little bit more time, it's probably the throttle body. I'm going to press the shaft out because I generally don't blast throttle bodies together like this because the media can get in between the seal and the shaft, and then it's just kind of, it obstructs the movement. It's not smooth anymore. So whenever I can, I try to disassemble it completely. And then same with this distributor. It does have a shaft in here and some wires in the top, but I'm gonna try to take this apart further so that I can get the shaft out and just blast the body. So let's get to it. So another piece that we have also, I forgot, is the brake master cylinder from the SUPRA. I just plugged up some of the plugs and pulled off this gasket or pulled off this O-ring from the back, and I'm going to try to tape this up so that nothing can get inside there, and then that'll pretty much be ready to go in the cabinet as well. Alright, so I was able to press out the shaft for the throttle body. I just put 2 plugs in it from the inside, and then I'm going to tape over the outside so that nothing gets into the bearings. And then for the distributor, I was able to press out the shaft, and now it's ready to go. I was able to take this out, and now we can just blast the housing itself, and that should clean up nicely. So the last thing is the intake manifold. We're going to try and get off the gasket material from that. As you can see here, we got a whole bunch piled up, and let's get to it. Alright, got the throttle body taped up, inside plugged, and the brake master taped up as well, and also plugged. So, I'm thinking we'll start with the throttle body and the brake master, or we'll do it one by one. So let's start with the throttle body. there we go. Everything's been vapor honed, and I put the shaft back in the distributor as well as the throttle body, and everything is nice, bright silver, ready to go back on the car. So I'm gonna move this back over the table and try to get some cinematic shots and try to put them together so that you can see a comparison of before and after. There we have it. All these pieces are clean and ready to go back on the car. Yeah, everything turned out pretty good. These parts weren't too dirty to begin with, but you can definitely see how vapor honing kind of brightens up the aluminum. Even though it was relatively clean before, it's a lot brighter now. So you guys let me know in the comments, what do you think of this transformation? Nothing too crazy, or do you think it's something that you would want to do on your car? A lot of the times, you know, we just clean things up with wire brushes and brake cleaner, and that works. But you know, nowadays, if we have our engines apart to this extent, or we're refreshing a car, why not take a little extra step to get things cleaned so that they're essentially brand new again? Like, look at this. Look at this piece. Look at how bright it is. And this intake manifold. Look at how it turned out. What do you guys think? Now, I guess this wasn't too in-depth of a video, but how in-depth can I really go? I just showed you guys the actual vapor honing process, probably in a time lapse, just because it takes quite a while. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, click the like button, and if you're not subscribed, make sure you click subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video where we'll keep making progress on the S13.